I, F29, usually stay with my boyfriend, Carl, M38, on weekends. He lives with his daughter, F16, when she's in due to joint custody. He works a job that he hates because he has no opportunities for growing his career. So 7 months ago, he started a company with an associate, Gabby, F35. She's definitely successful and knowledgeable. So my concern was, what would happen if she ever decided to cut him off? I'm mentioning this because his contribution to their association was to bring clients, but not technical or anything. For the past 5 months, he stayed out late while working on their plans. I never had any reason for doubt or suspicion until he went to meet her on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't say anything because I know starting a business requires lots of effort, but it's odd to allow an associate to interfere with family life. 2 weekends ago, she showed up and berated him for cheating on her. We were hanging out at his place with his 2 brothers, mother-in-law, his daughter, and sister-in-law. Gabby showed up knocking at the door while Carl was in the shower. I started getting weirded out when his family seemed hesitant to answer the door. His brother finally went to talk to her, but she walked past him and confronted me. She asked about our relationship. I'll admit that I was a bit rude because I got defensive. His other brother went to get Carl, and it all turned into a shit show. At this point, I'm disgusted, and I don't know who was the real girlfriend and who was the side chick. Also, it's worth noting that she accused his family of betraying her. Carl remained vague when I demanded some answers, and I felt like slapping him, but I controlled myself. She stormed out after an ugly exchange. I broke up with him that same day and haven't been able to find my way back into a good mental state. I can't believe anything he says, so whatever he explains will be a lie. This is where I might be the asshole. I made the decision to pull my support for his daughter. I had been paying for a makeup subscription box, but canceled it. She was getting her prom dress as a loan from a friend of mine who has 4 girls. I told my friend what happened, and we agreed that his daughter doesn't deserve any of my help. I also kicked them both out of my streaming services and will not help with the history school project, nor will I keep her in my magazine subscription plan. Carl reached out trying to discuss what I'm doing about his daughter. He said she's just a teenager and she shouldn't pay for his mistakes. I agree that she has no power to keep him from doing bad things, nor to keep him from being a liar. And I know that she wouldn't be in a position to tell Ike warned me that her dad was cheating. But she's almost 17, next month, and she's very mature, and she's definitely capable of telling right from wrong, and she had 0 problems getting stuff and receiving help and favors from me, and was comfortable asking for things. She's not a brat or the demanding type. She low-key asked for stuff, and I was happy to help. I'm sure she also benefited from Gabby, because it makes sense since I'm under the impression that Gabby was no stranger to her either. I told him, let Gabby do it, and he tried to complain about how Gabby vandalized their website. She took their page down and all it shows is a black screen. He says she locked him out of all the logins and supposedly had all her contacts block him. The only thing giving a little joy right now is imagining him naked and holding his balls out in the cold. Am I the a-hole? My friends are divided over this. Not because of him, but because they say she's just a teenager. Top comments, commenter 1, how long have you known his daughter? She knew her dad was cheating on you and didn't care enough to say anything. Also, you broke up with her dad. Do you have any desire to maintain contact with him, his daughter, or any part of his life? If not, then you did the right thing. You should inform her about needing to find a new dress so that she doesn't get entirely blindsided. Only because that's a formative experience for teenagers. But you don't owe her any favors or further involvement. However, if you've been involved with raising her for years, you may want to reconsider your approach and wait until after the anger has subsided a bit before making any decisions about her. Just my 2 cents. NTA. OP, I've known her since she was 15. I don't want to continue the relationship because I don't trust her, neither her dad nor anyone in their family. Commenter 2. It sucks, but why would you continue to help out someone else's kid? Tell the Carl that she's not your kid, so maybe her father should start paying for some of this stuff, so she doesn't feel like she's being punished. Block him. It's not her fault, but it's not your responsibility either. Commenter 3, NTA. Honestly, it sucks. His daughter was caught in the crossfire, but if it were me, I would. Make a total clean break, which means both of them. Block cheating pose and move on. It's his kid, let him figure it out. She has a mother. Not your circus, not your monkeys. Commenter for an NTA. At all, she apparently learned from her family how to take advantage of people kindness. Hopefully, this will teach her a lesson. Especially if, as you said, she's a mature, almost 17-year-old. This is a lesson she needs to learn. Editor's note. OP used a different name for her ex in the update than the original, switching the names to the original post name for ease of readability. Update. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply. I think the consensus was about his daughter. I will not be contacting her at all. I reached out to Gabby via social media, and she replied. I explained my position and that I didn't know about her. Hence, I was very rude and reacted with hostility. We exchanged messages. She says that initially he told her that we were in an open relationship that was about to end. They were talking for months before they began their relationship. She says he first introduced his kid, then his younger brother, and that me his mom, when Carl invited her for lunch and had his mom show up without telling her. Also, she said that his mom was less than friendly and that his mother made a small scene because she decided to pick a fight with her boyfriend. He and Mill are currently broken up. There's no way that she's making this up. Mill treated that guy like shit. About his daughter, Carl used to visit Gabby on some weekends and would leave his kid at Gabby's place because they bonded over DIY projects. Now I know where his daughter got her fairy, witchy, fantasy, elf, polymer clay jewelry, and hair accessories from. So I guess his working on weekend gigs was a lie. She said they became a couple about a month or two after starting their company because she wouldn't accept an open relationship. He told her that we were done when, in fact, we never broke up, had a crisis, nothing. Gabby mentioned that her dad fucking hates him and that things began to get rough because of things he did, and her dad noticed. She says she and her dad and other family members always meet for Saturday dinner or Sunday brunch at a particular restaurant, and that her dad noticed how she paid for Carl and his kid, always. And if Carl ever paid for his food, he didn't pay for hers. She said her dad called her out because her dad would usually pay for everyone, his treat, his family, and that he was getting very uncomfortable about Carl, and that he paid for Carl to avoid making a scene, but that he was fed up. So her dad told Carl he expected to be treated for a change as a hostile joke when they arrived at the restaurant, and that Carl was very offended and later told her that her dad's remark was a put-down. She also said that her best friend raised concerns about him, and that everything started to crumble because he didn't attend her family's Xmas lunch as he promised, and that he remained a bit low-key during the holidays and claimed to have influenza. He used both of us, but he took far more advantage of her because she made material things available. And while I don't know her except for this situation, her messages show that she's very affected but mostly angry, and I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up destroying him. She repeatedly mentioned that he deserved getting his life ruined. I didn't know that Carl didn't get an MBA like he told me. He never worked 2 jobs that he told me about, and also put in his resume. She found out because she paid for background checks and other tools when things started not adding up. Supposedly, this was part of why she started testing his abilities, and had been thinking about pulling the plug business-wise. She says it's all bullshit and that he's very insecure about his social standing. She told me a lot of stuff, but in a nutshell, I'm going to get tested for STDs and already told my family what happened. I'm leaving it at that because writing about it really irritates me for being stupid enough to believe him. Thanks again. Story 2. My boyfriend Alex and I have been together for 2 years, living together for less than 6 months. I would say that we have a fairly average relationship. We make each other really happy most of the time. But we do have our ups and downs. I am honestly so conflicted in writing this post because I feel a little insane, even thinking about the possibility of him trying to hurt me intentionally. We've been fighting a lot lately because of conflicting work schedules. I'm currently in my intern year of residency, doing a night float month, so I'm at work from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. roughly. He works during the daytime, regular hours as a CS engineer, and we haven't spent a lot of quality time together in several weeks because of the lack of overlap. I'm going to work just as he's getting home, and vice versa. I have never had any issues with physical abuse from him. He has raised his voice at me on more than one occasion. But he's always apologized, and it's been during very stressful times in our lives. His dad passed away last year. Our dog was killed in an accident on the street shortly thereafter. Recently, though, things have been happening in our apartment that makes me feel a little crazy. I've been getting hurt a lot, and Alex keeps reprimanding me that I need to be more careful and not be so clumsy. But honestly, it feels like it's not me, but that things are being done, moved, placed. About 3 days ago, I came home from work and was preparing something to eat in the kitchen right after he left for work, and I was getting ready to sleep. I opened up one of our kitchen cupboards, and the heavy door flew off one of the hinges and smacked me in the head. I have a huge goose egg and a giant bruise near my hairline, enough that several coworkers have asked me about what happened. I honestly think I had a very mild concussion from it, based on my symptoms this week. But here's the thing, as I tried to put the door back together, I couldn't find the hinge or 3 screws anywhere afterward. They should have been on the floor or the counter, and they weren't. This morning when I got home from work and I was getting ready to go to bed, I opened up Alex's underwear drawer to get a pair of socks to wear to bed. There were the screws, the hinge, and a screwdriver. Last week I got up in the middle of my sleep schedule to use the bathroom, and I slammed my shin into the edge of our bed. There's always enough room for me to shimmy by, but later on, when I looked at the bed and my leg, there were carpet marks, like the bed had been shifted about 12 inches towards the wall, making my space smaller. I honestly feel insane even thinking about bringing this up with him, but I don't know what to do. Update. Hello all. I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who messaged me with advice and input about my last post found here. Like the title states, I suspected my boyfriend was booby-trapping our apartment for some unknown reason and gaslighting me, and I was right. 2 days after I posted, our shower head came loose and sprung off at me, smacked me in the back of head, and due to the water pressure, I needed 8 stitches to close the wound. I texted my BF about what had happened and that I needed to go into work for stitches. I'm a resident. And he was way too nonchalant. He asked if I had bumped it or anything to cause it coming off. I'd had enough at that point. I wasn't going to ask him about the things that were happening. I was just going to move out on before I ended up dead. I made a plan that on Thursday I would have a friend come over as soon as Alex left the apartment to help me pack my things and leave. I was worried about any potential cameras he may have hidden, so I flipped the breaker and turned off the power in our apartment. About 3 hours into packing up, Alex came home. In the 6 months that we've lived together, he has never once come home for lunch, so there must have been a camera planted somewhere with an external power source. He doesn't even pretend to waltz through the door. He bursts open and gets furious and asks what the fuck we are doing. Not sad, not confused, straight up angry. That was the only sign I needed. All I said was, I know about the cabinet and the bed and the dresser, you watching me and my jewelry, and it's done. We're done. He responded with the standard, you're F insane, you're crazy, this is insane, etc., etc. This is the point where I am thinking, am I going to end up on a Dateline NBC episode? I yelled to my friend in the next room that she needed to call the police to come supervise while we finished packing. Alex decided to take this moment to call the police and claim that I was insane and stealing things from our apartment. 2 uniformed officers rolled up within what seemed like only a minute and came upstairs. I explained that I was moving out and there was abuse. I wasn't interested in pressing charges, but they needed to supervise and file a report for documentation. I ended up finishing packing and then spending nearly an hour down at the police station hashing everything out with the officer who arrived first. I took personal leave from work for the second half of last week, and tomorrow is my first day back. I'm staying with a friend right now until I move in with another resident near our hospital in about 2 weeks. Overall, I'm really relieved to be out of the situation, but I'm generally still pretty afraid of Alex and anything he might try to do in the future. Out of an abundance of caution, I took both my iPhone, iPad, and laptop to the Apple Store and had them do hard resets wipes, just in case he had planted anything. I'm not sure how I should be feeling right now. But I'm just going to say that for anyone out there questioning whether your situation is abusive or not, go with your gut and trust your friends and family.